Proverbs. We need to look at Proverbs 16, 18. Nice little devotion, if you're inclined to do it. Devotions don't have to be complicated, and you certainly don't have to find somebody else's book to go through. That's not a good way to do it at times as well. But it's nice just to read the Bible too. So don't fall into the trap that the only devotion you can have is either a day-by-day devotional or even reading a book or going through a book. Those at times. Carolyn actually gave me a good review on Dr. David Jeremiah's latest book. And we need to pass that around. And I think for her to say it might be his best yet, I'd encourage you to read it, and we need to get that around. But a good way is a proverb a day. 31 Proverbs, 31 days and many months. Proverb a day is a good solid way if you're not real inclined to doing a lot of deep Bible study. It's a good way to do it. Give some attention to that. If everybody's at Proverbs 16, 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. I'm going to speak to pride today. It's one of the worst things, worst sins in the world. The Bible will relegate it to pride of life, lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, to the basis of all sin. And I'd say even the bulk of all of it, and if you really had to narrow it down, pride would be the root of all sin. And it'd be the root of the start of sin, for sure, whether it be Lucifer, Adam and Eve. But I think pride has done more to destroy the world that we live in right now and to hold back revival. It's done more to destroy the family. Pride is the root of selfishness. For to think that you are owed something and your selfishness has to come from the pride, in a sense of pride, a sin of pride. It holds back Christians from serving more than any other sin. Too many people don't want to get involved because they don't want to tarnish their reputation or risk their self-esteem. It's done more to ruin this nation and it's done more to put people in hell than any other sin. Pride is something we need to consider. I don't know that there's anybody out here who's done anything in particular. So I get away with talking about it a bit today because nobody ought to just think I'm targeting them. But in the end, everybody's going to think I'm targeting them because that's what pride does. I could ask, does anybody think they have a pride problem? So you guys have raised your hand to listen, but it's those of you that didn't that really need to listen. That's the classic way. Either because you don't think, or you're too worried about what people will think that you didn't even raise your hand, and you don't want to get involved. But we all have that, and the reality is we all struggle with pride. Proverbs 16, 18. And pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before fall. It's a dangerous sin, as I have said. It will destroy you, but it's a deceitful sin. Really, pride is sneaky. Most people who really struggle with pride are clueless to it. Most people who are really, truly suffering from pride don't even realize they are so affected and infected, I should say, like a disease of pride. And what do I mean by that? Well, most drunks know they're drunks. Most hookers know they're hookers. Most junkies know they're junkies. But so many proud people fail to realize how prideful they are. Many prideful people truly believe that they are humble, and they're proud of how humble they are. That is the deceit of pride. Pride is so very dangerous. We live in a country and a world consumed with pride. We are proud to be Americans. And if you are scorned if you are not proud to be an American, and it used to be that proud to be an American, we are grateful for America. That's what it used to mean. But now, no, we are proud to be an American. We are better than everybody else. And to the point where it is out of line. The gratitude for what we are as a nation and a Christian nation, I don't think it comes above the pride and true pride. Because it grows, it infests, it infects. I could take last year's sermon. I spoke on this in 19, I spoke on it in 21. I could take last year's and I could play it on the screen up here. And it would make people think that I'm talking about something they did this last week. That's how hard pride hits home. You can come, don't even ask me about this afterwards, please. Because you can come and ask me, were you talking about me? And my answer is going to be no, but yes. Because it is. And please don't ask me to backpedal if you feel bad. You ought to. We all ought to. That is the Holy Ghost trying to pick us up out of the slumps that pride puts us in. Pride is a dangerous. We have a Pride Month. An entire month devoted to pride. We try to make it a good thing. It hits home. It ought to. We need to consider it. We're all affected by it. We even have Christianese to skirt around it. We learn to skirt pride. We don't say showing off anymore. I've noticed Christians, they don't show off anymore. They share. I just want to share with you this great new thing I have. Let me go ahead and share with you this Ferrari. Oh, you're going to share the Ferrari with me. Does that mean that I can borrow it anytime I want? Oh, no. Oh, so maybe I could just take it for a test drive. No. So you're not really sharing with me this. Let me share with you this great huge buck I just shot. What? So you're going to share? Can I hang it in my house? Can I take a picture with it? No. I'm just sharing with you this great thing that I did. And this great thing that I have. We share. We don't show off. I'll coin a new phrase today. Sharing off. That's the way we justify things. We don't show off, we share off. All our great things. It's a great Christianese term that we good Christians use to show off. We share. I'm going to share with you how great I did this week. Let me give a testimony of how good I am. I'm just going to share with you. I'm not showing off. I'm sharing. It's pride and vanity. Vanity is a form of pride. Pride is what we think of ourselves. We all probably think higher of ourselves than we ought to. A man wrapped up in himself is an awful small package. But vanity is what we think other people think of us. Some people, get this, some people will put on a false humility. It's self-deprecating humility to appear humbler than what they are. And when they are seeking to appear humbler than what they are, that in itself is pride and vanity. Because you want everybody else to think you're humble. Why? Pride, vanity. You want others to think you're humble. That equals pride. We are infested with it. Listen, if you take nothing else from this today, here's just a little thought that you can ponder and digest. You know what? Humility is not thinking less of yourself. People put on a humility and they say, well, I'm just a nobody. Listen, I'm not a nobody. I'm somebody in Jesus Christ. Now I'm going to tell you I'm a nobody. But, back to the point, humility is not thinking less of yourself as if you're a loser. You don't have to go around thinking you're a loser. It's simply not thinking of yourself. Some people will try to be humble by self-deprecation. Listen, Christ bought you. You don't need to esteem it what He bought at a lower value than it is. You don't have to think less of yourself. Here's a catchy way to say it. It's not a perfect way, but it's a lot catchier. It would be saying humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. And man, that means people need to hear that. There's some people I am involved with, and if you accumulate all the conversation we've ever had and analyzed it and put it on a data sheet, 99% of it is about them. That's all they think about. It's not in a way where that's all they only think about themselves. Sometimes we just need to think of ourselves less. Not less of ourselves. Some people are so consumed with being the best that they can be that they will be distraught that they aren't humble. They will come to me and say, I've got a humility problem. And they will be, I even have them in tears with how they realize they're not humble. They ask me, how can they get more humble? I tell them, even now, you're thinking about yourself and how you can be more humble. And how you can be better. While it is good to improve upon your character, it is not good to be consumed with yourself, and to be worried about yourself is the foundation of pride. And to even try to be more humble so that you can be better is a form of pride. That's deep. I don't expect everybody to catch that. But here's what it means. Stop it. Stop fretting over yourself even now. You want to be more humble? Two things. Worry about God's agenda. Worry about others. The Bible's clear on that. Stop thinking of yourself. Go out and get busy working for the Lord. Let Him worry about your humility. You're over here working on your own agenda. You even want to work on yourself. Listen, you're not even your own problem anymore. If you are a Christian, it's God's problem to shape you into what you're supposed to be. You don't need to take the chisel out of God's hand and try to whack off your own imperfections. He's doing it. Let Him. And that's a form of pride. When God's here trying to work on you and shape you into what you ought to be, you say, oh no, Lord, I see that problem. Let me go ahead and take that hammer and chisel. I'll knock off the rough spots. Nah, He's got a problem for you to deal with, and it's not yourself, I guarantee it. Because your job is to only work. Now, He might cause things in your life that you have to deal with. It's His job to mold you and make you. You're the clay. He's the pot. Could you imagine a pot trying to mold itself? A pan trying to mold itself out of clay? When all God wanted it to do is hold water? Get bent out of shape trying to fix yourself. God's job is to mold you. Turn your thoughts away from yourself. Turn them to the Lord. Turn them to God. Turn them to others. And I think you'll find yourself, after a while, it might not be overnight, you'll find the humility is there. You cannot fix your own pride by thinking of yourself. Pride is destroyed when you fix your mind upon others, especially the Lord. Pride is not a good self-image, okay? You are right when you value yourself. You need to appraise yourself. Just do it correctly. In the light of the Lord. You let God do it. You are a child of God. You are worth. Here's what you're worth. You are worth. You know how you properly appraise something? Saw some farmland this week get sold. $30,000 an acre. Up here next to South Dakota. $30,000 an acre. You know how you appraise stuff? You go to an appraiser and you need your home appraised. You know how you do that? You go and they take all the value of everything else in your area, and then they compare and take that and determine a value for that, and then you take it and you determine your value. Do you know the best way to appraise something? Is you go back and you see how much it sold for. That's a great way to determine. You know what you are appraised at? You are appraised at that which bought you, the price that was paid to buy you, which is the life of Jesus Christ Himself. You are valuable. Christ gave His life for you. You don't ever let Satan whisper in your ear that you aren't valuable or you aren't worth something. You were worth enough that if you were the only person to accept it, Christ would still be hanging on the cross. If you were the only one, He still would have died for you. You are valuable. You don't have to be self-deprecating. So to have self-worth is not pride. How can you love others as yourself if you don't love yourself? And when you realize that your value is Jesus' life on the cross, then you can look at somebody else and say, well, Jesus would die for them too. They must have some inherent value. You are a loved creation of God. Don't ever forget that. I'm not asking you to ever fail to realize that. But here's what I am saying. I'll ask you a question. What would you do if you only had one day left to live? Most people would go out and live for themselves, wouldn't they? Absolutely they would. They'd get all 10 things in their bucket list for themselves. Most people. Most of the world. Hopefully Christians would do different, but you know what Jesus... Let's turn to John 13. You know what Jesus did? He had one day left to live. He knew it was coming, and what did He do? John 13, chapter 13, verse 3. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into His hands, and that He was come from God and went to God. All power given to Christ. Now He's got one day left on this earth. What's He going to do? This is going to be good. We're going to see what He's going to do. This has got to be epic here. Because He's got God Himself here on earth. God in the form of man here on earth is going to, in one day left to live. What's He going to do with His last day? This is going to be good. We need to take notes here. Verse 4. He rose from supper, laid aside His garments, and took a towel and girded Himself. Okay? This is going to be good. This is going to be great. This is epic. After that, He poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. One day left to live, and He's serving others. I tell you, I don't know. I guess that means one day left to live. Maybe you ought to come and vacuum the church. I equate vacuuming the church with washing the disciples' feet. Because used to their thing was keep the dirt outside. Now we just clean it up after it gets in here. You know, but that was their way of keeping the house clean and washing the disciples' feet so you don't go, how would that be? One day left to live. I want to wash their feet. Should have washed their own, but they didn't, so I guess we're just going to... am I going to scold them for not washing? No, I just wash their feet. Pride is not assessing value to yourself in the light of God. Okay? If you value yourself and appraise your value in respect to what God values you, that's not pride. Pride is when you have an improper assessment of yourself outside of God. I know that's deep. Chew on that. Write it down. Watch the sermon again to figure that out. What is pride? And pride is really an attitude of independence from God. That you can do it without God. Ultimate pride, when you boil everything down and all that you have left, pride is any attitude you have independent of God. I'll try to illustrate that further on down the sermon. Make that point. It's funny how pride people act. I have an illustration here. Muhammad Ali got in an airplane one time and didn't buckle up. I've used this one before, you might remember it. Stewardess came and said, buckle up. Cassius Clay, buckle up. And Muhammad Ali said, Superman don't need no seatbelt. And the stewardess looks at him and says, well, Superman don't need an airplane either. Now buckle up. You know, and it's so true. One way, so I say, an attitude of independence from God. If you ever start thinking that you're something outside of God's will and discretion, that's pride. I'll drive that point home here at the end of the service. But one way you can, a litmus test. You know what a litmus test is? As far as I know, is I used to do taxidermy and I'd have to test the chemical bath I always tend to hide in. Had these little strips of paper, you dip that in, pull it out, turns the color, that's a litmus strip. A litmus test. You can always get a good idea with the litmus strip. And so we say, what's a good litmus test? Well, a good litmus test for your pride is how much do you pray? You know? Now I'm not talking about standing up in front of a church and praying. I'm not talking about saying a rote prayer. I'm not even talking about a verbalized prayer going through a list. I'm talking about true, deep down prayer of your will is bent to God, and you realize and know and seek His blessing on you. You know what that says when you have that kind of a prayer life? A submission and a humility before God is that you realize you need Him. And when you don't have that, what does that mean? I guess you think you don't need Him. And there's a lot of people going through life without the foggiest idea that they need God. Maybe people in here. Thinking that their life is coincidence or that their life is sure. And they don't ask God for the blessing of that life and His protection. There's times I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be tempted to pray and I think, boy, if I really get into a prayer right now, I won't be going to sleep for 2 hours. Because when I really get into a prayer, I realize absolutely. When I start going, I realize absolutely how everything is dependent upon God. Have you ever done that? If you haven't, you may want to do some real serious personal inspection, some introspection. If you haven't ever come to the point where it's terrifying how everything's hanging on the thread of God, just His blessing and will. If you don't need to pray, you got a pride problem. Now, I'm not saying to rote prayers. I'm not saying meals at blessing, saying grace at meals. I'm saying some way, somehow, between your inner soul in respect to God. Some manly men don't want to think that they're going to be sissy and do these little chants and all. I can understand that, but you better have an acknowledgement that God's superior and you need His blessing. If you boil prayer down, way down, prayer, true prayer, is complete submission to God's will, not yours. Some people might not make the motions of prayer, but in their heart they are truly humble before God to do His will and His work. And by that, It's a prayer without ceasing. A humility before God causes prayer. And it is prayer. We could look at Luke. Turn to Luke 18. Luke 18, verse 9. Two men went up into a temple to pray. This verse 10. One a Pharisee, one a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men, as extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican over here. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, he wouldn't so much as lift up his eyes to heaven. He beat himself in the chest. He smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a worthless sinner. I tell you, this is Jesus' comment on this parable he gave. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. Which one of those men prayed? Do you pray? Within pride is the principle of stewardship. We'll hammer this home a little bit more at the end of the sermon, but you have nothing without God. No money without God. No gifts without God. No health, no intelligence. Not even the will to live. Not the will to work. Not the will to thrive without God. What's your motivation? What gets you out of bed? Don't you like the days when you can just get up because you got something going on and you're ready to get going? What if you never had that again? What if you never had a desire to even get up and live? What a sad existence that would be. Your mere desire to thrive and live and survive and function is a gift from God. He don't owe you that for another day. Principle of stewardship. Everything I have is God's. Pride is esteeming ourselves better than others. Quick little, I guess you could sum that up. Pride is the only disease that makes everyone else sick instead of the person who has it. You know, honestly. Makes everyone sick but the person who has it. Here's a little bit of a list of indicators of pride in a proud person. Proud person becomes irritated when corrected for mistakes. Proud person accepts praise. I took this list from last year. So if anybody thinks this is hitting home, then for something you did 2 months ago or 6 months ago, this is grandfathered in from last year. So a proud person becomes irritated when corrected for mistakes. A proud person accepts praise for things which he has no control over or she has no control over. Singing or your looks, your beauty, your genetics, even your intelligence, your talents. A proud person has an ungrateful spirit for all that God has done. A proud person often finds himself in competition with others. Sometimes I think people buy and get just so other people can't have it. I know that in the farming world that's the way it is. There's people that they're not even done harvesting yet. And they're out here looking for more stuff to do next year. Why? Well, just so he can't have it. Proud people can't take criticism and are often the first to criticize. And they are insistent that they are right. It has to be their way. Their way is the only way. And not only their ways, you need to know that they disapprove with your way. There are people whose responsibility it is to critique. But I tell you, in general, it's not everybody's job to critique everybody else. There's a time and a place for it. I don't enjoy it. You know how, I'll go a little bit personal opinion here. And I probably, if I saw it, I could substantiate it with the Bible, but I don't like just trying to use the Bible to substantiate what I think. I'll just offer it to you. If you don't like the thought, delete it. Most of the time I find if you're enjoying the critique, you probably don't have a right to be doing it. Because most of the time I've found is that when I'm responsible for the critique, and it's my job to do it, I don't find the joy in it. As a pastor, as a father, now I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but I dread having to critique when it's my responsibility. There's people just so, if you find a lot of joy in critiquing others, and I tell you, you can critique in a loving and gentle manner for the betterment, to the betterment of all. Back to Proverbs 16:18. You don't have to turn there. I'm already there. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Pride will devastate your life. You know what's keeping a lot of people from getting saved today? Pride. They can't overcome their pride to fathom that they've done wrong and that they need a Savior. A lot of people today, it used to be, I think, and you'll get old pastors still stuck on this. And the old pastors are still stuck on the thought of trying to convey to people that they are sinners in need of a Savior. But today, I find that the masses, especially millennials and down, think they know better than God. They actually believe that God is accountable to them. Because, and here's what, if there was a God, this wouldn't happen. What's that saying? They're saying that they know how to better done this situation and that they are better than God. And how can they go to God and ask for His salvation when He's over here doing something they don't approve of? I'm not going to go to God and ask for His salvation because I don't approve of this situation. I don't approve that I got born into a broken home. Therefore, I'm not going to trust God. Pride. Maybe the only thing and the only hope for you to be bent to God's will was for you to be born in that situation. How can God have little starving babies born to people over in Africa? I don't know. But He's God and He knows. And so many people insist that they can do it better than God, so they're not going to do it His way. And that means humbling themselves to admit that they're a sinner and He's the only way to sin. No, they ain't going to do it. Because they have to acknowledge that He's God. Proverbs 16:5. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Pride will eat you up. Proverbs 6:16 through 19. Join in if you get there. These 6 things does the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination to Him. A proud look. Why does God hate pride so much? Well, I've said it is the root of sin. The love of money is the root of all evil. What is the root of sin? Pride. You look in Isaiah 14. We won't do it right now. Isaiah 14, 12 to 16. And that's the account that our understanding of the greatest angel God ever created fell. And took a third of the angels with him because of pride. The devil's national religion is pride. I call atheism a religion. I want to call pride a religion. It is. And it was the devil that attached pride to homosexuality. And he's successfully making pride something to be happy and proud of. Pridefully proud. God hates pride. It will destroy you. There are people that are incapable of thinking they could be wrong. Man, I ask the Lord sometimes if I believe wrong, help me to believe right. The capacity to think that you might not be right. Pride ruined the human race. Why did Eve think that she could eat that fruit? Pride and lust. Pride will ruin ministry. 1 Timothy 3:6. Great warning that Paul gave to Timothy here in ministry. On who should lead the church? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride he fall into the condemnation of the devil. You know the greatest way to lend yourself over to the devil? Pride. The devil loves it. God resists the proud. You're already in the New Testament. Turn a few pages further and find 1 Peter. 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, you younger, submit yourselves to the elder. Yea, all of you, be subject one to another, and be clothed in humility. For God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. We've already looked. Pride defiles men. Pride is the destruction. Proverbs 21:4 is good. Mark 7:21. Out of the heart there is pride. Pride is a terrible sickness. It comes from within our human nature. We're born with it. You don't have to teach babies to be proud. In fact, it's a good thing babies are born babies. Because if they weren't, they'd probably kill us with their arrogance and pride. They come out of the womb wanting what they want, needing what they need, and demanding it. Some of us just never learn to stop crying and demanding and wanting. That is pride. Most marriages, the root of it is divorces start in pride. The church will lose its unity if pride creeps in. Being right in your position never gives you the right to impose it hatefully. Pride dishonors life. Pride destroys souls. Proverbs 15, back to Proverbs. You're doing a little bit of flipping around today. Proverbs 15:25. Look at another verse here. Then I'll make some comment and I'll let you go. Proverbs 15:25. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow. Just when you think you're capable of something, along comes destruction in your pride. Pride is the road to ruin and destruction. Ultimately, pride will send you to hell. I can break it down like this. You can get proud of and have pride in that which you can guarantee. So I have said, and I've in the past, and maybe even here in this sermon, I've said it boggles my mind that people are proud of something they never had control over. You know, where they were born, when they were born. I mean, you didn't choose your skin color. I mean, it's just bewildered that people can be proud of and think that they're better because of something they never even chose. Who they're born to, where they're born to, when they're born. I mean, I would have been like to have been born about, I don't know, maybe 1830. That's when so can I be proud to be when I'm born or what I'm born to? It boggles my mind. And then you're proud of your abilities. Proud that you can sing or you can play piano by ear or you're a great artist. And those abilities are God-given at birth. I saw this week somebody went into a coma. He went into a coma on normal duty. He woke up out of the coma. And he has this great artistic ability, you know. If I bring that up only to tell you that it's inherent. I mean, it's an ability that's unlocked. It's not because you have a skill at it. I don't care how hard I try. I can't play music like some people can. I have to work every single bit and earn every single little bit of musical ability I have. Whereas there's others, at 4 years old, they're composing wine because it's a God-given ability. How can you be proud of something that God ordained? But let's go a different route. Let's say we allow pride for that which you can keep, not that which you have or that which you got. Let me say that you can be proud of that which you can keep. Everything you can keep and guarantee you can be proud of. What can you then guarantee me you can keep? You say, I earned my money. So I'm going to be proud of the money because I earned it. And I could come over here and say, well, how'd you earn it? An ability that God gave you, time God gave you, resources God gave you. Here's a lesson for some people. In life, lots of times, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So it was the opportunities you've been given. But we won't go that route. Let's just say you've earned your money, and you think you have a right. Guarantee me that you're going to have that money tomorrow. Guarantee me you've earned your house, right? Guarantee me it won't burn down tonight. That you have the complete control and ability to keep that which you have. Then I'll trust that it's yours and you did something. You have power over it. You don't know that your house ain't on fire right now. I might have come by and set fire to somebody's house on the way in just to make a point. You don't know that your house ain't on fire. You don't know that you're going to have your house tomorrow. So you have plenty of money. Just build your house again. That doesn't worry you. Okay, guarantee me you're going to be able to walk tomorrow. Yesterday at the air show, there was guys just flying along. Did you see that? Guys just flying along. Here comes a stray plane, boom, right through there's a ball of fire, and they're dead. It could happen to any because of some other moron or some other anything that could happen on the way home. We could be dead tomorrow through power that you don't have and in circumstances you can't control of no fault of your own. You could be dead. You could be paralyzed for the rest of your life. Your car, you're proud of your car. Guarantee me you won't wreck on the way home. You know what? I'll guarantee you something. It'll rust. Rust is going to eat it away. It might take slow, but so what is it that you have that you can keep and guarantee me you're going to have? Your health? Who here is going to guarantee me that they're healthy next year this time? Your family? You know, I'd like to guarantee, and as Christians also, I guarantee you, and they might say I guarantee you I'll never get a divorce, but that doesn't mean somebody's not going to die. I can't guarantee you that we're going to be a family of 9 next year. Somebody might die. I can't guarantee you. I can't keep them alive. Can I be proud of the family of which I did not give myself and for which I cannot guarantee I'm going to keep? People who sing, they're so proud of how good they can sing. Can you guarantee me you're going to be able to sing tomorrow? You know how many concerts are canceled every year because somebody got a hoarse voice? She'll show you real quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know what? You're only one little bitty blood clot away from being a vegetable for the rest of your life. Little bitty blood clot in the wrong spot, you're in brain dead for the rest of your life. You don't even have a control to keep one little bitty. You know, it's just ironic. I didn't stage this. You know what the most deadly animal in the entire world is? Some people will say humans, we kill more than anything else. Well, that's a nice thought. Nope. You know what kills the most humans? Mosquitoes. You could get bit by a mosquito and croak. We got these big, strapping, beautiful horses around. You know what all horse owners are terrified of? Mosquitoes. West Nile, dead horse. Those no-see-ums, little bitty bug, have killed half the population in several states, spreading the CWD. We think we have some control over something. How would it be if I went out here, I came down here, I don't know where, I could go to, that'd be good. I go up here to Van Wall, the John Deere dealership, and I get out in front and I take me a selfie with the big nice X9 combine, you know, and act like it's mine. Now I can post it on Facebook and just kind of show off as if it's mine. And let everybody think that it's mine. I mean, you guys would think I'm stupid. Everybody would think I'm stupid if I'm up there posing with something that I don't own, that ain't mine. Yeah, we do it all the time. All this stuff for which we only can be grateful to God for allowing us to have for a short period of time here on this earth, we act as if it's ours. And it's only by God's mercy and His will, and a will of God, His discretion, that we have it. You say you worked hard for it. Who gave you the ability? The world tells you you can be whatever you want to be. No, you can't. You can only be what God allows you to be. I highly, highly, highly doubt that I'm going to make a career in the NFL at this point. You know? I can't be whatever I want to be. I wasn't born in the right place. I wasn't born in the right genetics. But I'm born as God wanted me to be. You've got nothing to be proud of except that God has given you. So, that's why I ask. You can only really be proud of that which you can guarantee. And there's only, I think, what can I guarantee? There's one thing I can guarantee. It's Jesus Christ. I can only boast in one thing. There's only one thing I can guarantee you I will have tomorrow. Jesus Christ. That's the only thing I can guarantee. I know tonight my house might burn down. Oh, ask Job. His whole family died in one night. Lost his house. You know, my machine shed could burn down. I could get sued and lose everything I've ever owned. I could lose it all, just like Job did. But there's only one thing I can guarantee. Is that Jesus Christ holds me. Mm-hmm. So why is it that we boast in things that will pass away? Things that aren't even ours to guarantee, yet we boast very little in Jesus Christ. We all need to check our pride up, have a perspective of life. That it's the grace of God that we have what we have and are what we are and will be what we will be. We all have to check our pride up. Nothing you have is truly yours except Jesus Christ. And tomorrow when you wake up, if you're a Christian today, you can guarantee you will have Jesus Christ. Where you realize you may not know everything and you don't always have everything your way, maybe you could defer to God a little bit, to His wisdom and power and authority. Things might go a little bit smoother for you in life. But when you realize the only thing you can truly boast in is in Jesus Christ, you're well on your way to living a godlier life. If you are out there and you cannot say that tomorrow you're going to wake up with Jesus Christ as your Savior, That's the first thing you need to get right. Let's pray. Precious Heavenly Father, pride is such a hard thing to confront, such a hard thing to think about. It's one of those things we need to know about for when it comes. We need to have it instilled into our mind and in our heart, that which, on how to deal with it. And no doubt pride will creep into our church, and into our families, and into our own lives, and our hearts, into our businesses. And it'll keep creeping in, and it'll always be something that we're going to have to continually check up. Give us the tools and the knowledge and the resource and the will and the desire and understanding on how to keep our pride checked up so that we don't fall victim to one of the worst sins that there is. And I pray, Lord, that we might bring you glory in our lives, even if you have to humble us in vicious ways or hard ways. I hope that it's the prayer of everybody out here to bring you much glory, no matter what it takes. Even if it takes a good humbling, I pray you do so. I pray you forgive us our trespasses and help us to forgive those that have trespassed against us. That even in that we might bring you glory. Pray that we have a good week all week, that everything we do would be of eternal value for your glory. Whatever you ask of us, help us to do it in your will. In Jesus' most precious name. Amen. 401. Stand up when you find it.